such that I can try to get a very strong network with some personal issues, which maybe I may not publicly share here. But I'm happy that everyone has joined in, and I'm happy that me too, I have joined in. And it's really an exciting moment to have everyone here. Welcome to SynBio4ALL Africa, Synthetic Biology for All Africa. Marilene Pavan and Morgan Richards, our speakers, you're welcome, and I'm happy to see you here. Today, it is the launch of the SynBio4ALL Africa, a dream which has become a reality. And now I can strongly say that Africa is now going to get an opportunity of learning more and more and more about synthetic biology. I would like to request Heidi to share the slides so the members can have the can see the agenda, and such that we can start off our launch. Next slide, because
oh, Kato, I think we lost you a bit, but we'll wait until you come back. But you were asking to see the agenda, which is here.
okay, I'm very sorry that my network is overbreaking, but I know all will be well, and we shall move on very, very nicely. I hope now I'm clear. Everyone can hear me? Okay, this is our agenda for the launch. We shall give a brief introduction and a brief overview about SynBio4ALL Africa initiative. Then we shall have a brief overview about the SynBio already transpired in Africa. Then we shall get a keynote address from Marilene Pavan. We shall have a Q&A session for Marilene Pavan. Then we shall go to the keynote address from Morgan Richards. We shall have a question and answer session for Morgan Richards. Then we shall go into the breakout session, whereby we shall have different breakout rooms. For those ones who don't know about the breakout rooms, this will be a time whereby you will be assigned to a special room to discuss about a certain issue. The questions will be provided here. We shall have the orientation for the 6 weeks program, because now today it is the launch, but now starting with 1st of November, that is Wednesday of next week, we shall have we shall have a 6 weeks program which will be running. As you know very well, SynBio4ALL, we have got different, how we have packaged the information which we need to disseminate to students. It is packaged in 3 different ways. We have got what we are calling the beginner's course, the intermediate course, and the advanced course. For the beginner's course, it's introducing you to synthetic biology. For you who doesn't have any knowledge about synthetic biology, even if you have the knowledge about synthetic biology, to learn more about the introduction to synthetic biology. Then the intermediate course, it will help to open you to you much more about synthetic biology. And then the advanced course will help to make you, can I say, like an expert of synthetic biology. Then you can start looking for opportunities of doing practicals and all that. Yeah, that's what I think. Then from the orientation for the 6 weeks program, we shall have the closure of this event. But all this, it has been given different minutes. The introduction and brief overview will take just 10 minutes. Then the brief overview of the SynBio space in Africa will take 5 minutes. The keynote address from Marilene Pavan will take 15 minutes, and the questions and answer for Pavan, they will take 5 minutes. Then the keynote address for Morgan Richards will be for 15 minutes, and the QA will be for 5 minutes. Then the breakout session, it will approximately take 20 minutes. The orientation to the 6-week program will take 5 minutes, and then we shall close our today's program. So without wasting a lot of time, I don't know, since my network is overbreaking, I will modulate this session, but I will have a co-modulator, and the co-modulator will be Rosemont, if at all she's on the call. She will help me to co-modulate. Then with the help of Heidi Klumpe, we shall modulate this session, 3 of us. Just in case I go off, one of them can take over. So I would like to request Heidi to go to the introductory slides. We start our session officially. So now officially we have opened up the launch of SynBio4ALL, and all of you who are on this call, you have made that history, and you will remain in the book of records that you were among those people. SynBio4ALL Africa, it is just an initiative aiming at promoting synthetic biology among the African students. We are not differentiating which type of student, whether young or old, or undergraduate or overgraduate, anyone, provided you have passion for synthetic biology. And we are not only looking at the science students, but we are looking at various students. We are looking at IT students. We are looking at students in the fields of human resource, in the fields of social sciences. You are all welcome at SynBio4ALL Africa. Heidi, next slide. Okay, what SynBio4ALL is? What is SynBio4ALL? Just in case if someone can ask him so. As I have already introduced, this is an initiative whose aim is to spread synthetic biology knowledge to all African high school and university students. We tried being specific here just because we tried actually, I'm sorry, but you can go in the chat and check on what Morgan has asked. We tried to be specific here that to all high school and university students, simply because we wanted to bring in that specificity, but we didn't lock it at that. It is still open for anyone, provided you have passion for synthetic biology. You can just join us and get much more knowledge about synthetic biology, and you see how you can dive into research using the knowledge of synthetic biology. Yeah, Heidi. Okay, what motivated the great minds which came up with SynBio4ALL Africa? What motivated us, basically, it was what synthetic biology is currently doing globally. Synthetic biology is doing great wonders globally, but Africa has been left out. Synthetic biology promises to provide sustainable solutions because there are very many challenges which are affecting the globe. Challenges in agriculture, challenges in pharmaceuticals, climatic challenges, all those challenges, synthetic biology can bring up a solution which we can follow. Although the solution of synthetic biology is available, it's very unfortunate that Africa has been left aside. Africa is very behind in both the products of synthetic biology and the knowledge at large. We don't have the knowledge about synthetic biology. We don't have the products of synthetic biology in Africa, but we have the capacity of doing it. And this is the gap which SynBio4ALL is looking at to stand in. Next. Okay. As SynBio4ALL Africa, we have got 3 major objectives which we are looking at. The first objective is to improve synthetic biology literacy. Another objective is to build government support for synthetic biology in Africa and to apply synthetic biology to solve global challenges with local people solving local problems affecting their local communities. Currently, the program which we are running, the program which we have started with of teaching synthetic biology online, it is answering objective number 1, improving synthetic biology literacy. And indeed, we believe that the literacy levels of synthetic biology in Africa will improve greatly. Our curve, I hope it will start growing rapidly. The knowledge of synthetic biology in Africa will start growing rapidly due to the SynBio4ALL Africa initiative. Then as this objective is being put in place, as it is being implemented, we shall also be implementing the objective of building government support for synthetic biology in Africa through engaging different policymakers in Africa to ensure that policies which are favoring synthetic biology have been put in place in Africa. More especially, this will be moving hand in hand with informing these policymakers about the biosecurity levels which we are following. Because most of the African policymakers are worried if synthetic biology is approved, won't it result into GMOs? But though these GMOs can result, we have got the biosafety and biosecurity measures which we want to put in place. And now, at this point, it's where the responsibility of each individual comes in, and the responsibility and the safety levels, biosecurity levels and measures. This is whereby we bring them in place and explain to the people if something is worked upon in the laboratory, unless it is proved beyond no doubt, we cannot put it into the human population. So when people understand that, it will help in the growth of synthetic biology in Africa. And also, finally, applying synthetic biology to solve global challenges with local people solving local problems affecting their communities. We have been doing this behind doors. We have been applying synthetic biology to solve local challenges. For example, the challenges in malaria, the challenges in polyaromatic hydrocarbons, the challenges in accumulation of gases in the atmosphere, and of which these gases are very, very, very harmful, and they cause global warming. So we have been doing that. So we shall continue implementing it and supporting more teams of young students who are interested in these fields of synthetic biology. Next. Okay, we have a great team from all over Africa. So far, currently, as SynBio4ALL Africa, I'm authoritatively stating that we have covered over 38 African countries, and we have engaged different students. And our team is of creative ladies and gentlemen who are working to ensure that synthetic biology can spread through the whole world and to make the world a better place to live in using the tools of synthetic biology. And this team is being headed, I can say, by me, and everyone is a leader at SynBio4ALL. We are getting much support from our friends, our collaborators in the US, that is Heidi Klumpe and Ryan Cardiff, then Cholpist at SynBio4ALL, we normally call him ICE, and other fellows from the US. This team is equally distributed, that all regions are equally represented. The southern part of Africa is represented by Stephen Malemia, who is from Malawi. Then the East African part is represented by Omara Ronick Rogers, Nguzu Simon, Brenda Namugamba, and the West African part is represented by Rosemond Nyatefe, then and Charity Serwa. Then we also have some guys from Sierra Leone, that is Emmanuel Saidu. Then we have some guys who are behind doors from Senegal, and now Nigeria is also coming on board. We have many guys from Nigeria whom we are working with. So the team is a very big team of great minds, and really we have much hope that a lot of work is going to be done in Africa, and we are sure that our target of ensuring that the whole of Africa knows about synthetic biology will come to pass. We are sure of that we shall fulfill that, because the team is dedicated and everyone loves what he or she is doing. Next slide. So, if at all you need to get more information about SynBio4ALL, we have got these links. We have got an email. You can give us an email, SynBio4ALL@gmail.com. I will request Heidi to share them in the chat. That is the email link. You can follow us on our Twitter at SynBio4ALL. Then you can also follow us on LinkedIn at SynBio4ALL Africa. We also have a website, and you will find all this information. You will find there the recordings of our sessions. You will find there a lot of information about SynBio4ALL. Heidi will be sharing the website, and you can get in touch with us at any time. At any time you have anything to inquire about synthetic biology, we are here to serve you. We are here to ensure that you get the knowledge you deserve to get. And we are here to ensure that Africa as a continent also is on the same level with other continents in the field of synthetic biology. Heidi? Okay, I know I have talked a lot, though I have been in a hurry and I have been rushing. I'm very sorry for that. It was not intended, but as you all know, that nature can change at any time. And after nature changing, you can get any new program at any time, and which may not be avoided. So that has been my presentation. Thank you so much for listening to me. And if at all you have any question, please, I humbly request you reach out to us. If you need our personal emails, when you reach out to us at the SynBio4ALL Africa email, if you need to talk with any of us individually, you can send in a question and request that maybe I need to talk to so and so, because you have had the team, we're a big team, but any of the team members can help you in what you want to inquire. But I conclude by encouraging and emphasizing all of you to sign up for this synthetic biology course. We shall have an exciting course, and we shall also be giving out certificates. And in the near future, we shall ensure that our certificates are recognized internationally. We shall keep fighting to ensure that comes true, and we shall ensure that it comes true. So if you have our certificate and it is recognized internationally, which means any lab in the whole world you will be going to, they will be recognizing you as a synthetic biologist. What an opportunity you shouldn't miss. Thank you so much. See you on Wednesday in our first session. Thank you. Heidi, I think you can now, you can take on the agenda. We can go back on the agenda so that we can invite the next speaker. Oh, I have seen someone who requests to have a private talk with me. Please, I'm available at any time. You need me. Let me share my email, my personal email in the chat. Sorry, I'm trying to share my personal email in the chat. So if at all you need to get in touch with me, that's my personal email, emasevunyakato@gmail.com. That's my personal email. Thank you so much. So at this moment, I request the next presenter to come in and give you much of the package which we have organized for you. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charity Sarah, and I'll be speaking with you on the topic overview of SynBio4ALL in Africa. Please, the next page. So this are our outline. So SynBio activity emerging in past decades, the presence of SynBio in Africa, key areas of focus, major initiatives, key players, future of SynBio in Africa, then the conclusion. Please, the next page. So far, SynBio in Africa is still at its early stage. We cannot compare SynBio in Africa with other countries. It has emerged for the past 10 to 15 years since SynBio was introduced in Africa. Early synthetic biology work was focused on addressing healthcare challenges in Africa. Africa faces a lot of healthcare challenges, particularly malaria, HIV, and the rest. It also focused on bioremediation, whereby researchers focus on biological systems to be employed for removing environmental pollutants. And in Africa here, most of our environment are being polluted. And so the focus was to deal with this issue. Then biofuel development. Please, the next page.
Oh, Charity, I think there's a bit of an echo. I don't know if it's possible to turn down the volume of your laptop speaker, but we can understand you okay, but if you could get rid of the echo, it would help. I'll go to the next slide now.
Okay, so SynBio activities is expanding across Africa centers and networks facilitating growth. So far, SynBio is being spread in Africa here. Please, the next page. The key focus areas of SynBio in Africa is healthcare. This is because we face a lot of healthcare issues, particularly malaria, HIV, AIDS, and so researchers are more focused on these areas in order to find solutions. Agriculture, that's drought resistance and being able to increase yield within Africa. Sustainability, that's bioremediation and biofuel, being able to remove pollutants in our environment. Please, the next page. So far, there have been a lot of initiatives in Africa here. We have biosciences, Eastern and Central Africa. These people are based in Kenya, Nairobi, and they are focused on designing to achieve food security for resources. And so these people have come into play, and this is helping in the spreading of synthetic biology and the application of it. We have here the H3A BioNet. These people are also Pan-Africa Bioinformatics Networks, and they are focused on training people in bioinformatics. So when COVID came, we got to know the use or the importance of bioinformatics. And so these people are focused on training people in order to know about genomic research and the use of bioinformatics. We have here Synthetic Biology Africa. So Synthetic Biology Africa here is a group of researchers, students who are within Uganda, and they are focused on propagating synthetic biology technologies in order to translate ideas into products throughout Africa. We have here Kumasi Hive, and these people are also based in Ghana, and they are focused on providing a platform for rapid prototyping of ideas. And so far, you could tell that synthetic biology is taking a step within Africa. There are major initiatives that are being taken into place. And these are the few ones I have listed. Please, the next page. So the key players of SynBio in Africa here, I could name IGIM teams. Maybe most of us don't know what IGIM is, but IGIM is, the full meaning is International Genetic Engineered Machinery. It's an organization which is focused on synthetic biology, enabling students to do projects using synthetic biology tools to solve local problems within our community. And so Africa here, we have had few students who have participated in this competition in order to bring up projects to solve local problems. We have had teams from Ghana, we have had teams from Uganda, we have had teams from Kenya, from Egypt. And so far you could tell that these students are players in spreading synthetic biology. They are players in finding solutions, innovative ideas in order to spread synthetic biology. So far, these teams are key players in synthetic biology. These teams later on become a startup because they have trained themselves within the region of synthetic biology and they have the ideas of it. Please, the next page. So what's the future of synthetic biology in Africa here? So we have not gotten there yet, but we are still on our way. And we believe that the field of synthetic biology in Africa is poised for the coming years. The areas we expect for expansion include precision medicine. Other countries have gotten there, whereby they are able to precise a particular medicine for an individual or a patient who is sick. We haven't gotten there yet, but we believe that through synthetic biology, we could get there, being able to precise a particular here, we need increase of yield. We need the ability to combat diseases which affect our. We need solutions in finding diseases which affect our plants. And so we believe that synthetic biology could enable us or help us there. And synthetic biology solutions for sustainable mining. And so for me in Ghana here, we have a lot of issue with illegal mining. And due to illegal mining, our water resources, our water bodies get polluted. But we believe that through synthetic biology, we'll be able to find a sustainable way of mining in order for our water bodies not to be polluted, for us to get clean water in our homes. Please, the next page. So in conclusion, we realize that there is a full potential of SynBio in Africa here for long term. And for that matter, we have to have policies supporting this reasonable innovation, because there have to be policies in support of it in order to drive it. We have to engage the public because few people know about synthetic biology. When you bring a product which is a genetic modified way, people wouldn't embrace it because they have their own idea about it. And so we need to engage the public. We need to let them know that it is safe if you should use synthetic biology in increasing yield or combating any disease. Ethics and frameworks. We need ethics and framework in order for us to spread our synthetic biology within our region. We need education. Not all schools or not all universities or senior high schools get to be educated on synthetic biology. I think in Africa here, few universities lecture on synthetic biology. And so there is a need for us to educate people on synthetic biology, the application and the need of it in our region here, Africa. That is why we bring to you SynBio4ALL, for us to educate all of us, for us to get educated on synthetic biology. Thank you very much. Eddie, please, you can.
Okay, thank you so much, Charity, for such a wonderful presentation. We are really excited, and I see the whole team is really excited, and everyone on the call is really excited. So The next on our agenda, maybe Heidi, I think maybe you have changed something. I think we could now go for a keynote speak from Marilene Pavan. Yeah, I would request that. As I was still commenting about the talk of Charity, sorry, the presentation of Charity. Charity, you have done a wonderful presentation, and really a lot needs to be added, because in Africa, there is no any university that teaches synthetic biology. All universities, both the universities which have natural science courses, universities with life science courses, universities with health science courses, the biggest thing they do is to teach students about molecular biology, but they don't go to the core of synthetic biology. They just end on molecular biology. So most Africans, if not all Africans, we have got the knowledge of molecular biology, which we relate to the knowledge of synthetic biology, but we don't have the core of synthetic biology. Heidi, at this moment, I would like to invite Marilene Pavan from LanzaTech company. Marilene Pavan, as she's going to introduce herself, she has been a great individual in advancing synthetic biology to the African continent through supporting different teams in African universities to participate at the IGM competitions. And she has done a lot of work, a lot of molecular biology work with LanzaTech. And she is a lady whom the world cannot go without talking about. Marilene Pavan, for the great work. That's why we have invited you to talk to the young African students and the old African students who are present with us here. Marilene Pavan, this is your time. You can take over. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have to say that it's going to be a little bit noisy because I'm in the middle of another event in the Museum of Sciences in Chicago. So I'm sorry for that. And thank you so much, Kato, for the introduction. These are really kind words. It's been a pleasure to me working with the Uganda team, the IGM Uganda team, for the second year, I believe now. And I'm honored to be here in the first day of this huge initiative that is going to be such a success in spreading the word about synthetic biology in Africa. So I really want to say how amazing this program is and how important it is to educate ourselves about synthetic biology. So thank you for that. Yeah, my name is Marilene, but you can call me Mary. I'm a biologist and I am originally from Brazil. I don't know if there are any Portuguese speakers here today. But today I live in Chicago and I work for LanzaTech, a company that is working with gas fermentation. I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but I want to start with my professional journey in Brazil. And as I said, I'm a biologist and I have a master's degree in molecular biology. And after completing my master's program, I went to work for some biotech companies in Brazil. One of them was Monsanto company. I was working with sugarcane and soybean breeding at that time. And then after that, I went to work for a petrochemical company called Braskem. So this petrochemical company, they had this renewable chemicals laboratory, and they wanted to produce the chemicals that they were producing from petroleum. They wanted to produce from sugarcane fermentation. So molecules as ethanol, butanol, isoprene, all these molecules we were trying to produce via modification, genetic modification of yeast, E. coli, and other non-model organisms like propionibacteria. And that was the first time that I got in contact with some research that was trying to substitute or decrease our usage of petrochemical components like fossil fuels and produce from other more resource save waste or feedstock. And I was working as in the field of metabolic engineering there. But then the way that we were modifying these microorganisms were pretty artisanal. We didn't know about synthetic biology at that time. So everything was pretty much low efficiency, and it took time and resources that we didn't have. And then because of that, I got in charge of knowing more about synthetic biology and how both synthetic biology, but also the software and hardware parts of it could speed up our process. So at that time, I came to the US to spend 3 weeks in San Francisco, working for a laboratory called JBay. And I was learning everything about synthetic biology and automation there, in the lab, working with robots, learning about software. And then I came back to, I went back to Brazil and applied everything that I had learned. And then it was really a game changer in the ways that we were doing things at the lab. And because of this project, I got in contact and established partnerships, not only with the Bay Area researchers and laboratories, but also the East Coast laboratories. And then because of these partnerships, I got invited by Professor Densmore at Boston University to join his lab in the US and lead and put together new laboratories to work again with synthetic biology, software development, microfluidics, and automation of synthetic biology. So in 2016, I came to the US and I started working in Boston with this professor. And we put together a new laboratory that was fully automated and a research laboratory. And I was one of the only biologists at the time because the laboratory was pretty engineering focused. And I learned much more about synthetic biology being here in this environment that has so many laboratories in the same place working with these fields. And then in 2018, I organized an event at Boston University to promote synthetic biology and automation. And because of a common contact, I got to know that LanzaTech was hiring for a synthetic biology and automation position. I've applied for this position, and in 2019, I came to work for LanzaTech in Chicago. So I knew about LanzaTech from my time at Braskem because, again, it was one of the companies and getting successful in this field of trying to substitute fossil fuel-based chemicals for chemicals based in waste recycling. And I was pretty happy. It was like a circle closing. And this year, actually, I shifted a little bit my career to work as innovation manager at LanzaTech. So I'm still in the synthetic biology group, but now I don't go to the lab anymore. I'm more focused on monitoring technologies and new ways to do things to, again, speed up our process and for us to get to what we need faster. So that's pretty much my story. Today, I'm also a PhD student, actually. I am in a bioenergy program via my alma mater back in Brazil. So it's pretty hard to do a PhD together with work, but that's what I'm doing now. So my thesis is based on analyzing how to use waste streams from Brazilian agriculture, more specifically from sugarcane residues, and combining it with LanzaTech's technology. So I didn't tell you about LanzaTech technology, so let me go back a little bit and tell you about it. It's a gas fermentation company, as we say, which means that we have this microorganism, which is a non-model organism, an anaerobic Clostridium, that instead of sugar, uses gases like CO, CO2, and hydrogen as source of carbon and energy for its metabolism. And primarily, this microorganism uses these gases to produce ethanol. So it's a natural ethanol producer. Which means that we can, instead of sugar, using waste streams or gases that would go to the atmosphere, impacting even more climate changing, to produce chemicals that are useful for us, as ethanol, for example. And we have, until the end of this year, we'll have 6 commercial plants distributed in Asia and Europe. And now the synthetic biology group is very focused on modify this microorganism so we can produce other things commercially other than ethanol. So we have 2 modified microorganisms in a pre-commercial stage. One is producing isopropanol, the other one is producing acetone, but we are also modifying this microorganism to produce MEG, butanol, and other molecules as well. This microorganism also has a huge amount of protein, so it can be used to feed fish. And actually, some of our commercial plants, they dehydrate the bacteria that are not producing ethanol anymore, and they feed fish with it. So the idea is that we can use the whole carbon contained in this feedstock to produce the materials that we need, like clothes, packages, plastic, aviation fuel as well. And finally, the idea is to promote a circular economy where these products that we are producing, we can gasify them via gasification and use these gases to produce more of those things without having to mine any more fossil fuels from below ground. So that's what I do today. And thank you for listening. And let me know if you have any questions.
Oh, that has been fantastic and very wonderful to have such a background, such an exciting information from such a great person, Marilene Pavan. Thank you so much for really encouraging an African student who feels that he or she doesn't have any hope. So we have 5 minutes of questions. Please, I request if you have a question, raise up your hand and I will give you an opportunity to ask any question you feel like asking from Marilene Pavan. We just have 5 minutes.
And if you don't want to ask questions now, I'll drop my email as well, so you can write to me and ask questions.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
My hand is failing to go up, but I have a question.
Yep.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity, and personally willing and ready to learn more about synthetic biology. I am personally a biologist, bachelor's of biotechnology from Chambogo University. My question is, synthetic biology, I have seen it, it focuses on a range of topics. I'm wondering, how would you assure that a person or someone focuses on a particular field? Because I see it focusing on disease, pharmaceuticals, nutrition. It's a very wide thing. How do you assure someone is focusing on a particular field that will benefit them in their career? Thank you.
Sure, that's a great question. And I would say that you should focus on whatever inspires you and whatever you are interested into. So these are the two main things that are going to keep you going in your career, other than the specific fields or specific universities or specific advisors. That's really what is going to keep you going, is the inspiration and the interest that you have in any of the fields available for study. And another thing is the fields, the focus of your research, you are going to notice that they are going to change a lot during your career. Again, because you are going to change, the world is going to change, and the technology is going to change. So being prepared to adapt to this change is really important. So it's nothing like, again, when I started during my master's degree and working at Braskem or Monsanto, everything was pretty artisanal. So the technology was developing slower than it's developing today. So it was pretty common for a person to start in a career and retire in the same career with the same focus, with the same research, or in the same company. These are not true anymore today. So it's pretty common that whether you are going to choose something today to study, this might, or a place to live, or a university to attend, or a company to work with, it's pretty probable. It's probable that you are going to change your interests and your career focus over the time and very quickly, just because everything is moving so fast today, and your interests can change. But it's really important that you keep your focus and have your mission in mind, what is important for you and what inspires you. That seems a little bit vague, but it's really important, and that's the best advice that I could give you. So keep your mind open. Don't worry too much about where to focus. Focus on what inspires you.
Okay, thanks so much, Pavan. Odul Walter, before Odul Walter, I think Mr. Mbusa, you are satisfied with the response, or maybe you still have.
No, it's great. Really, it's great. I have picked something, and yeah, that's nice.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mbusa. Then I'm seeing someone called Odul Walter is raising his hand. Please, Odul Walter, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kato, Emmanuel, and the team. I'm really excited to be part of this tonight. My question actually had two questions. One will go to Kato, then the other will go to the previous speaker. So, Emma, you talked of the 6 weeks program, and then you talked of some phases of training, which is the beginners training, the intermediate, and then the advanced. So in this coming 6 weeks, are we going to have all the 3 categories of training, or it will be just the beginners, or it will just be more of introductory without any maybe further training? That is one of the questions. Then secondly, my question is that this SynBio Africa, do you give sponsorship for someone who is doing, let me say, postgraduate degree? And do you sponsor, okay, will you be able to sponsor the maybe research project that someone has proposed? For example, my aim would be, okay, I do bioinformatics at African Center of Excellence in Bioinformatics. That is Uganda. My main interest is in using machine learning, basically in cancer genomics. So if I would come up with my research question from there, would I get opportunity to be sponsored and also to do maybe my master's degree? Yeah, that's basically my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Walter. I will answer. I will give highlights on both of the questions you've asked, and maybe if Pavan also has some highlights, we'll give some highlights. So if I picked you well, the first question was about the arrangement of the sessions. So Heidi is going to talk much about this, but I can also talk about it because I have some information about it. So starting with 1st of October, rather 1st of November, sorry, we are going to be having each week, we are going to be having one session for learning about synthetic biology. And in this session for the 6 weeks, it will include introduction and some topics about synthetic biology. And we call that one the beginner's course. So from that one, which is called the beginner's course, when you finish the 6 weeks, then you will be eligible to advance to the next stage, which is known as the intermediate course. The intermediate course will also take a certain period of time. When you finish the intermediate course, then you will go to the advanced course, which will take some time. They are not very long times. They are short times. So after you have finished all the three, the beginners, intermediate, and advanced, having one lecture per week, and this lecture just takes either 1 hour or 1.5 hours. It's not very long. It's something easy you can do at your ease. If you miss any lecture, we shall be putting the recordings on our website. We are going to open up a YouTube channel. We shall be putting the links on our LinkedIn and on Twitter so that you can follow up. But when you finish the whole package, you will get a certificate. The certificate we are looking at, we are collaborating with big institutions. We want to see a way we can get an internationally recognized certificate to give you, because we trust our curriculum and we trust our instructors. They are eligible people to do that job. Then the second thing, which you asked about, can you be in position of getting scholarship? So if you become part of SynBio4ALL Africa, as SynBio4ALL Africa, we don't have the capacity of giving you the scholarship, but we have the capacity of opening your face to the rest of the world, opening your name to the rest of the world. And we shall also be getting you information about different scholarships in different universities. Even if they are not scholarships, they are research opportunities, internship opportunities with different universities. And as we grow bigger and bigger and bigger, we shall start making collaborations with different laboratories, maybe to collaborate and see if it is possible some of our students to go in those laboratories and maybe do some fellowships there, some internships there. So that's the whole program. Thank you. Pavan, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I guess you covered it all.
Okay, thank you so much, Pavan. So that has been the session for Marilene Pavan. I think let's pick one more question and then we go to Morgan. I'm seeing someone called Michael Okeya. Michael Okeya, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Kato, for the great opportunity. I would like to appreciate the introduction Miss Marilene has given us for this discussion. My question to Marilene is, what is the future outlook for synthetic biology, and how does LanzaTech envision its role in shaping it?
I would say that there's no way to solve, let's put this way, there's no way to solve our societal problems without synthetic biology today. So synthetic biology is going to be part of our lives more and more. It's going to be the tool or the field that is going to solve a lot of our very important problems. there's never been so much investment in their area as it is today. So I guess the time is great and the future looks great for synthetic biology as a whole.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Pavan. Really, we are very sorry. We shall end on those questions, but I'm going to request Heidi and Rosamond to share in the chat the Discord channel. There is an app called Discord, which is an app for discussions. You can join Discord if you don't have it on your phone. You can download the Discord app on your phone. Then you join the Discord channel of SynBio4ALL Africa. You drop in all your questions which you have for Marilene Pavan. If you're dropping in your question, in the brackets, just put in Marilene Pavan. We shall get all these questions and then we shall give them to Marilene Pavan. She will answer and we shall get you the feedback. Thank you so much, Pavan, for being with us. And I think really, right now, you're very free to jump off the call. We are very excited for having you. Let's go now to Morgan Richards. Morgan Richards is a great person who has done great things in line with science generally. Morgan Richards works with ValleyDAO, and I don't know how I can describe him because his description is something beyond me. I think he can do it better himself. Morgan Richards, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And yeah, it was really great to hear from Marilena. She's really awesome. And yeah, really great to see so many of you guys here and interested in synthetic biology. It's something I've been very passionate about for a while now, and have been working actually with Emma on some various initiatives, and Erican as well, I see here. Oh, and Victor too. So yeah, good to see some familiar faces here. But we are, very passionate about bringing synthetic biology awareness, information and infrastructure to Africa. And so just to give a brief introduction on myself, I'm Morgan Richards. I am the Product and Tokenomics Lead at ValleyDAO. And basically, products you've probably heard of, tokenomics may be new to you. So tokenomics is the study of digital currency economics that can be used to facilitate new and interesting dynamics in society. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment, but I'm going to share my screen. Oh, I think I need to be allowed to share my screen.
I'll do it right now. Just
thank you. Yeah, I'll share my slides with you guys, and yeah, excited to tell you a bit more about ValleyDAO and what we do.
Hopefully it works now.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, Morgan.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, so I've titled this talk, Building a Solarpunk Future. Now, some of you may have heard of the word solarpunk before. You may recognize the type of art style in my background on my Zoom camera today, and basically what it represents. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second. But what I think of when I think of synthetic biology is not just the science and the technology itself, but a cultural shift to one where we start to recognize and harmonize with nature and natural technologies and build societies that are much more integrated with them, rather than current societies and cities and developments where you can see that there is a clear segregation between nature, humanity, and technology. So yeah, as I said, solarpunk to me represents this shift in our relationship with nature, moving towards a future of harmony between nature, technology, and human civilization. So I love to include these kinds of art styles because they give a really hopeful and optimistic image of what the future could look like if we are to use these technologies for the greater good. But why biology? Why is it such a powerful technology? And I think this is something I discovered in working, spending a lot of my time working with animals and in conservation, is recognizing that the Earth itself is one giant biological system. So nothing on this planet exists in isolation. For example, mosquitoes that transmit malaria, right? You may see them as a bad thing, of course, because they spread diseases, but the mosquito itself is part of a very complex and integrated ecosystem for which we can't even begin to understand right now with our current studies. So, you know, everything in nature cannot be seen in isolation. Everything is partnered with something else to make something else possible. And the magical thing about nature and on the planet is that it has been continuously recycling and reusing resources to build new and interesting things over many, many years. So we've seen our advancement from single-celled organisms to these highly complex forms of life that also have intelligence and social hierarchies and the ability to communicate with one another, which you just wouldn't have in a system that is, you know, dependent on one single experiment. Biology enables us to run these continuous experiments and build systems that are circular and lossless in terms of energy and materials. And the other reason why biology is interesting is because it's absolutely everywhere, doing everything. So from the depths of, you know, some of these remote caves you might know about around the world, also the edges of volcanoes, the tops of mountains, all of these extreme environments where you would think that there must be nothing living there, that there couldn't possibly be any life there. Well, there is, even on the micro scale. And the life that exists here are actually the most interesting because they're doing some really interesting chemistry. Now, what I think is also really interesting about biology is the fact that it can do pretty much all of the things that we want to do in terms of manufacturing, in terms of recycling, chemical synthesis. It can do all of those things. Pretty much any chemical reaction you can conceive of in your head, biology somewhere around the world is doing it already, and is doing it in a way that is way more efficient than we could do through electrical or mechanical synthesis techniques. And so what can we learn from that? Well, we can start to see nature and its resources as technology that we can use to sustain our civilizations. So this is a quote from George Church, one of the leading figures in the field. I definitely recommend you go and check out his lectures and his work if you haven't already, to get a real deep dive into the space. But he said essentially everything that we can currently manufacture without biology, we will eventually be able to manufacture with biology. And we're starting to see this revolution now. Some people are calling it the next industrial revolution, where now biotechnology becomes the thing that levels up humanity. And I think that's really exciting, and it's why I've at least dedicated my life to working in this space. So I said about you know, seeing nature as technology and using it to solve problems. We can create a future of abundance and prosperity. So this is just a kind of quick overview of what the process looks like in synthetic biology, or at least the typical process. It's using, you know, taking inspiration from nature, whether that's whole organisms or very specific genetic circuits and sequences, and taking them and putting them into other living cells, ones that we can more easily engineer and manipulate. Then using some sustainable building blocks, as Marilene mentioned, her work is looking at reducing waste streams. So starting to see waste actually as a resource, which is exactly how nature sees it, right? Like an animal takes a poop in the middle of the forest. Nature does not see that as waste, it sees it as a resource. And actually there is a lot more life that is created from that very process. So starting to see our waste streams as humans also as these sustainable building blocks that we can build things on. You often have this integration with computational biology and bioinformatics that enable us to more predictably engineer and tailor these cells to do the things that we want them to be able to do. And then what you can create is systems that create sustainable materials, foods, fuels, and medicines, which can then be scaled up in an industrial facility like this, that is having a lot less impact on the environment than our current practices. So I just wanted to include some examples to give you at least some examples of what I'm most interested in personally in synthetic biology. So this first example is chemical-free fertilizer, and I think it's something that is accessible and understandable to anyone in the world, especially somewhere that has such a large agricultural output such as Africa. So currently about half of the synthetic nitrogen that's applied to crops never actually reaches the plant. So it's basically washes away, it goes up into the atmosphere. And so if you know about the process for producing fertilizer, it's heavily polluting. It's a really nasty chemical and energy intensive process that is causing huge damage to our ecosystems, as well as the waste from these fertilizing activities also producing damage to our, creating damage in our ecosystems. So they're causing things like algal blooms and really poisoning soils and making them inhospitable for life. So one of the applications of synthetic biology is producing these biofertilizers that are much more efficient, they're much cleaner, they don't waste, and they actually integrate with the plant. So they're a living system in many cases that are harmonize with the plant and forming this feedback cycle where it can give the plant what it needs to grow and continue to sustain itself without having to be constantly reapplied and remanufactured. Ever wondered what woolly mammoth tastes like? This is a real company called ValleyDAO. Actually, my undergraduate supervisor went and worked for this company for a little while. They're producing animal-free meats, but for animals which don't exist anymore. So exotic, or animals which don't exist anymore, and also exotic species that you wouldn't dream of going out and killing. So I'm sure many of you know about poaching, especially in Africa, is a huge problem, not just for the meats and the actual food sources, but for their materials as well. Well, imagine we could make all of those things in a lab without harming the animal at all. Well, I'm sure anyone would prefer that method. Self-replicating building blocks are also a really exciting example. This is real, so it might seem like science fiction, but this is absolutely real. So you can go ahead and read that paper. I'll share the link with you guys in the chat afterwards. But basically, they created these building blocks that are impregnated with cyanobacteria, and essentially you can cut it in half, plant a block somewhere else, and it will double and regrow itself. So you can think that this completely changes the landscape in society when we're building things for each other. We no longer have to think of a home as one single permanent thing, but actually the source of materials and inspiration for the next home. And it could potentially grow with your family rather than you having to move out and find a new, bigger place, leaving that place behind. Xenobots. So these are self-replicating biological robots made from skin cells, produced in Dr. Michael Levin's lab at Tufts University. They're currently doing work on the computational side to be able to program these biological robots to do really interesting things like clean up pollution, repair the body, and monitor the environment, which is super exciting as well. Living materials is something I'm really excited about. So imagine wearing a jacket that changes color while you move around, or if you go into somewhere with lower oxygen or with a heavily polluted environment, it could warn you about that because it's very reactive to the environment, but still very stable. And then these are some of the more foundational technologies that are enabling all of this to happen. So desktop DNA printer. I've seen this myself. I was lucky enough to see this earlier this year at SynBio Beta conference in San Francisco. It is a desktop printer that prints DNA sequences. So you can then put in whatever you want to, whatever genes you want to print, and it will output them quite simply without much user input. And then there's this idea of portable DIY bioreactors as well. So bioreactors, we need to be able to grow and cultivate the cells doing these interesting things. This one company are producing these portable DIY bioreactors that kind of act like a Raspberry Pi or equivalent, or a 3D printer for biomanufacturing. So then you can have everybody have these in their homes at a very low cost and start to play around and experiment with producing new organisms that can do really cool stuff. So, you know, if we want to see these technologies really take shape and take over the world, we need to enable everyone around the world to be able to play and interact with them. And this is part of the process, making it much more accessible to the everyday person. So I told you a little bit about who I am at the beginning, but just to go to rewind a little bit and tell you more about my scientific background, or at least educational background. So I have a bachelor's degree in microbiology from the University of Liverpool, and last year obtained my Master's of Research in Systems and Synthetic Biology at Imperial College London. I was lucky enough to be funded for that course by Google DeepMind. who are very interested in the field or in the overlap between AI and synthetic biology. And now my current role is as the Product and Tokenomics Lead at ValleyDAO, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about in just a moment. And so, like, going back to this, I mean, this is my credentials, right? But it's actually can be simplified, and this is how I generally like to introduce myself. So I'm someone that wants to learn how the world works and use this knowledge to improve it. And in my scientific journey, in trying to learn more about the world, how the world works, I learned more about economics, I learned more about politics, I learned more about social sciences and how humans interact with each other. And when I got to academia, I realized, at least in the labs that I was in, that there are still a lot of problems, right? Scientists are all mission driven, they're all aligned on what they want to achieve in the world, but they're not doing it in the most efficient and effective way that they possibly can. It's not the most inclusive field of study. Not everybody can afford the education to get there. And so we're missing out on a huge amount of potential and talent and resources because of exactly this. So I made it my mission then to focus on how can I help make this process better? How can I make this step much more efficient and allow more people to be a part of this this really fun and magical and creative part, which is using our knowledge to improve the world around us. So what is ValleyDAO? Well, ValleyDAO is a global community of synthetic biology researchers, investors, enthusiasts, etc. And what we believe in is that communities are greater than the sum of their parts. So basically what that means is, you know, you and I, when we work together, are much better than you and I working individually. And as I said, this is something I saw in the scientific ecosystem, something that upset me a lot, especially when wanting to solve climate issues with science. So ValleyDAO focuses exclusively on climate, food security, and sustainable development. We don't do health and pharma, purely because we think that there's a lot of money and attention in the space already. I think that's where a lot of people go naturally. Of course, there are many human health problems that need to be solved all of the time. But we're much more interested in how we can use biology to be one step ahead of that process. And rather than waiting for something to happen and then responding to it, how can we make the world a much safer, more inclusive, and more prosperous place? And so no matter who you are, no matter what you set yourself to, you are stronger together. And I think this is something I really, really believe. And this goes for all communities across the world. And, you know, I think it's a relevant time to say what we're seeing around us in the world is deeply upsetting in terms of the conflict. And, you know, we ultimately should know better than that. We know that we are much stronger together and when there's no harm being done to each other. So yeah, this is really what I'm interested in. So one of the ways in which ValleyDAO works is that we help with the funding and translational support of synthetic biology research. So we pull together our capital, our resources, and intellectual property, and then we help to spin out research that gets to a certain maturity from the university to be able to create impactful technologies in the world. Now, those researchers will generate, hopefully, research IP upon being funded by ValleyDAO, for which then it can be licensed or startups could be formed. Now, the proceeds and equity will, of course, go back to the researchers that contributed to those projects, but some of that will also flow back to ValleyDAO's treasury, which enables us to more sustainably fund science. So basically, if we create a very profitable company or technology, then we channel that money exclusively back into funding more science to continue this flywheel effect. So ValleyDAO is a non-profit community. We're not looking to make any big exits and make ourselves rich. We're really looking to share and spread the proceeds and benefits of scientific technologies with everyone. And something I didn't mention that I will mention before I close is so I mentioned that I am the tokenomics lead. And so I wanted to explain a little bit more about what that actually means and why that's relevant to ValleyDAO. So ValleyDAO has a cryptocurrency token called the Grow token. And what that is essentially like, if you think about how nations were formed and why they were formed in the first place, well, they have a united currency, right? And what that enables is that it enables people within that country to transact and localize their economy and share the benefits of the growth of their economy together. But what we're seeing around the world, and this is true for almost every country at the moment, even the ones that have been immune from this for a very long time, is that we're seeing the values of our currencies as nations decrease, and it's causing inflation of prices. It's making it very difficult for people around the world to live and to survive and to make ends meet. And this is usually due to international instability. So things like war, things like the COVID pandemic, and all of these different factors that are really outside of our individual control as smaller communities, but obviously deeply affect us. And so one of the things that we're passionate about at ValleyDAO is creating a unified currency that synthetic biology researchers can transact in. So avoiding the inflationary and deflationary mechanisms that we see in other currencies. We've created this cryptocurrency that has a hard capped supply, which means that we can't print more of it. There is a fixed number of these tokens out there in the world. And basically, we give the people that work for our community and contribute value to our community these grow tokens. They can be exchanged for cash. So you can go to a thing called a Uniswap pool, exchange those tokens for $1. But that's not where the true value lies, right? We're still a young and growing community. If you were to hold on to these tokens, for example, then as the community grows, as our IP portfolio grows and the impact that we create grows as well, then the value of that token would theoretically grow as well. So you can imagine it's like buying shares into a company at a very, very early stage. You could sell them immediately because they are more liquid than shares of a company typically are. But the idea is that you should hold on to them and then share the benefits and the growth of this bioeconomy together. So we're really passionate about creating this unified currency across borders and across communities, because we believe that, you know, science has been very exploitative in the past. You know, I grew up in London or Kent in the United Kingdom. Europe and the US have really benefited from the scientific efforts and the natural resources of the rest of the world for a very, very long time. And what this would essentially enable is that, you know, anyone in Africa can participate in this economy and see the benefits and grow together. So it's a unified bioeconomy where we all benefit and grow together, as opposed to an individual company or an individual group of people that are making 95% of all the profits in the ecosystem. So I just wanted to share that with you today as well, but happy to answer any more questions, because I know that's a very new concept to a lot of people as well. So yeah, that concludes my talk here today. This is a QR code. So if you are interested in getting involved in our community, you can scan this QR code. Like the SynBio4ALL community is hosted on Discord. So you can scan this QR code, it will take you to our Discord, and you can then verify yourself and introduce yourself on the Intro Yourself channel. We would love to hear from you, get to know you, and see how that you could help this organization and this bioeconomy and this movement towards a more sustainable future, how you can help it grow, and how you can grow yourself as an early career researcher as well. So yeah, thank you all for listening. I'm sorry if I went on a little bit too long, but happy to answer any questions anyone may have, either in the chat or yeah, please unmute yourself. And if we don't have time for them today, then I would be more than happy to share my contact as well with you guys.
Thank you so much, Morgan, for such an insightful presentation. I really learned a lot from your presentation. And I think others also enjoy the presentation as well and have some questions. If you have any question, you can put up your hand and I can call you to ask Morgan any question. I think we are just going to have 3 questions for Morgan because of time, and then you can follow up with him later if you have further questions. So if we have anybody who has questions, can we see your hand up? Or if you don't want to do that as well and you want to type in the chat, feel free as well. So Morgan has placed his email in the chat. If you want to reach out to him, that would be great. So do we have anybody want to ask questions? Okay, we just have a comment in the chat which says, that was fantastic, Morgan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Morgan. Do we have any questions from the participants? Okay, we have Tito who wants to ask a question. Please go ahead, Tito. You can unmute and then go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Am I audible enough?
Yeah, can hear you well.
Okay, thank you so much, Morgan, for such a wonderful presentation, and we really learned a lot from you. It's not like a question, it's just like an advice to us young African scientists who are developing. What exactly triggered you, or what was your motivation? Because is it about the university that you are studying? Is it about the family background, or is it about just your own initiatives to start or to do what you are doing now? So that's what I wanted to know from you. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. And yeah, if I had more time, I would have shared much more about myself in that talk as well. But yeah, I think for me, it was a mixture of things. So I'd say the first thing that sparked my interest in this was, as I mentioned, working a lot in conservation. So I used to want to be a veterinary surgeon. So I spent most of my teenage years working with animals, working in nature, both in conservation, but also animal husbandry and veterinary clinics, and just having this deep care and affection for the natural world around me, and knowing that, because of climate change, because of our pollutive activities, and because of war, we're destroying the environment around us, and that deeply upsets me. And I think once I then studied a little bit more in depth when I did my course in microbiology, I understood that, okay, we do have this new tool called synthetic biology that could really be a powerful game changer in our ability to solve some of these problems. I think it's quite easy to look at the world around us, for example, like our use of fossil fuels and coal and stuff, and say, let's stop it tomorrow. But I'm a pragmatist. I as I said, I like to learn and understand how the world works. And the more I read and understood, realized that this is not how the world works. We could not simply turn off oil and gas tomorrow, like the world would collapse. And so what do we need? Well, we need a viable replacement that can actually offer a solution that can continue human growth and society's growth, and continue to provide for people in terms of healthcare, security, and all of these things, but without polluting our environment. So I think that was the main kind of click for me, is seeing that synthetic biology is not just a technology for medicine and health, but it's a technology that could really produce anything that we want in a much more sustainable way. And so it seems like the middle step in our transition to a much more cleaner future. I hope that answers your question, Tito.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I think the next person is Enoch Kiprono. Enoch, can you unmute yourself and then ask your question, please?
Okay, thank you so much, Morgan, for your presentation. I just have one question. What are the projects, the current projects that are carried out by or funded by ValleyDAO in Africa?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So in Africa, not yet. So we're a very early stage startup. We only raised our, so we just raised just over $1 million. I think we finished that in September, and we're planning to raise much more next year. So our first project that we funded, and only one that we've actually delivered money to so far, is at Imperial College London. And that's going to be looking at the production of lipids using a engineered strain of yeast. And so those lipids will first be looked at as an alternative to palm oil, so to offset the production and deforestation that is caused by palm oil production. And then it could also be applied for biofuels, it could be applied for cosmetics and all of these different verticals. So the idea of like the ValleyDAO model is that we as a community fund research that doesn't just have an impact in one place, but has an impact globally. And so, we're interested in funding research that happens all around the world. And yeah, as of yet, we haven't funded anything in Africa. But as I mentioned, I have worked and currently still working with Erican, with Emma, with Victor Kariuki, who you'll also see here in the chat. And yeah, we're trying to figure out ways in which not only ValleyDAO, but the global ecosystem can do better and do more to support the growing African bioeconomy.
Thank you so much, Morgan, for your answers. I think we don't have any more questions. In case you have more questions for Morgan, you can send him an email. He dropped his email in the chat, so you could just copy the email from there and then send him further questions or connect with him. Thank you so much, Morgan, for an insightful presentation. We are glad to have you here.
My pleasure. Thank you
We'll
for inviting me.
So we'll move on to the next session. So we're going to have a breakout session, but because of time, we are not going to do that. But it will just be something that we'll hope that you carry along as you go or leave this session or this meeting. So we're going to get everyone to take a step back and then wear your thinking caps and then step into the future. So we wanted to have you in breakout rooms to discuss the future of synthetic biology on the century, right? We wanted to get you thinking about if we had, for instance, we had a newspaper that came out once every century, right? And it's a synthetic biology newspaper. What do you think will be the discovery or the invention that will make the headline? I don't know if that makes sense, but then what is something that, in your opinion, will make the headline? I think Morgan talked a lot about what is going on already in the SynBio field and also the future of what SynBio can bring on board. So we are just going to leave it here for you guys to think about, discuss with your friends at work or with your network, just to get people thinking, get you thinking, and also answering these questions. We also wanted to add that the second part of the discussion was going to be about how we are going to get there. I mean, in terms of the proposed discoveries and inventions that people would have brought on board, how we'll be able to get there, and also how we can make the invention sustainable and acceptable. So we are not only looking at just using synthetic biology to solve problems, but actually using synthetic biology to solve problems that are sustainable and also acceptable for humanity, right? So we'll leave this right here and then we'll jump right into the orientation for the start of the classes on Wednesday. So please don't leave. We'll have Heidi talk briefly on that. Heidi, if you could just briefly talk on that about that, that would be great.
Yes. Thank you, Rosamond. Yeah, really exciting to see everybody. And we just wanted to let you know that if you've been inspired or excited about any of the things you've heard about here, we're going to run a course in some of the basics of synthetic biology. There will be 6 weeks and 6 different teachers. And here are the topics. So I will start on Wednesday, which is week 1, sort of like what is synthetic biology? But then we'll touch on all these topics of how do cells make things? How do we control what cells make? What are the common parts that people use to engineer cells? And then what does it actually look like in the lab? And then week 6, some fun sort of mathematical and physical concepts and like cell biology by the numbers. So I think this will give you a lot of tools to cover a lot of the basics. And just so you know how to join the course, we'll be running it on Zoom. You can use this same link. We'll have 45 minutes for a class, and then the second 45 minutes will be office hours. Part of completing the course, we'll have some short homeworks so we can check that we sort of understand the concepts we're going over. These are the times. It'll be at the same time. So that's 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, which also Ghana is included in that region, then 6 p.m. West Africa time, which includes Nigeria, and then 8 p.m. East African time includes Uganda. If you cannot make the course, we're going to record the lectures and post them on YouTube. And at the beginning, at least, we're going to send everything over email and maybe also on website, just to sort of keep all of the links protected. So if you received an email about this, you'll receive all emails with updates going forward. I was just going to show, here's 2 QR codes. The top one is to register for the course. But again, if you're here, you probably already registered, but feel free to do it. But also the Discord. I need to apologize. I sent a bad link. This one should work and you'll be able to join our Discord community. And I hope we can have lots of discussion about what we're learning, maybe working on homework together, and these kinds of things. Yeah, but that's everything about the course. You can, of course, email SynBio4ALL if you have any questions about the course. I'm going to stop sharing now because Kato, who I think is just rejoining right now, suggested maybe we all take a photo because this is pretty exciting. So maybe I'll let him do that. Or Rosamond, do you know? Okay, Kato, are you here now? Maybe Kato, can you hear me? Rosamond, I don't know, do you want to be in charge? But we can all turn our cameras on maybe and take a quick screenshot together. Is it the idea?
I think it would be easier from your side since you're the host, or let me try and see.
Okay.
Okay, it's possible. Can we all turn on our cameras very shortly and then we can... We are still waiting for a few people. If you could quickly do that for us, that would be great. That's if you're comfortable. Shift command 3. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and just take the screenshots. I think not everybody's available, so. Okay, so I'm going to count up to 3 and then take. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll be taking a lot more, so you can just keep on smiling. Okay, thank you so much for joining. It's good to have you all. We know that those here have already registered, but then you can also share with your friends as well if they are interested in learning more about synthetic biology. Thank you so much for joining us today. Heidi, do you have anything else to say?
Oh, okay. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay,
Heidi,
Ima
can you
is
hear
here.
me?
Okay, Ima is finally here. Ima, final words
Okay.
from you.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. But I just have only one request. I request that really we disseminate the information. Let's spread the word across the whole continent of Africa. Let's tell our fellows about SynBio4ALL Africa in each and every country of Africa. Please engage more and more and more so that we can grow a bigger community, and we also do great things like how Europe is doing it, how USA is doing it. Thank you so much for joining. I'm sorry for not being so active, but I'm grateful for you. Back to you, Rosamond.
Thank you so much, everyone. We hope you have a good night. Thanks a lot for joining. I think you receive follow-up emails from Heidi concerning the next steps for the class. Thank you all so much for joining and enjoy a very good evening. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Nice to have you join us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thanks to the team as well. You did a good job.
Yeah, thanks very much for the session. Bye, everyone.